Get ready for another console war that's gonna shake the entire gaming industry to its core. This longtime Sony developer admits that Xbox is a great platform. Xbox is finally killing off this feature, and Stalker 2 is fixing one of its biggest problems. What is up, y'all? I am Ray, and this is my channel, Xbox Ready, where we get on and we talk about Xbox stuff, the latest news, rumors, games, accessories, pretty much anything I want to talk about as long as it's about Xbox in some way. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about how Sony's latest announcement is actually really exciting for Xbox fans, some encouraging news for anyone who wants to see Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on Xbox consoles, how Microsoft is killing a feature you may have forgotten about, and some recent news regarding Call of Duty and Stalker 2. But first, a word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact is an open-world action RPG that takes place on the magical continent of Teyvat, where 7 kinds of different elemental powers surge. It's become a global phenomenon since it released 4 years ago, and as of November 20th, it's finally coming to Xbox consoles. With Update 5.2, not only can you jump in on your Xbox, but you can also check out new quests, new limited time events, and new characters like Chaska, who rides around on a giant rifle and rains down elemental damage on her enemies, or Ororon of the Nightwind, who can enter the Night Soul's Blessing state to trigger some crazy DPS combos. He can even boost your gliding speed when you're not using him. They're also expanding the map by throwing in new areas, like Ochkanatlan. They're also offering special rewards for any Xbox players who want to jump in. Any new travelers who reach Adventure Rank 2 will receive a new glider, the Wings of Fate's Course Intertwined. Xbox fans are actually getting the glider first. They're going to roll it out to all other platforms as part of Update 5.3. And if you're subscribed to Game Pass Ultimate, you can get even more bonuses with recurring rewards available with each major version update. All you got to do is just claim them in your in-game mailbox. Hoyoverse is also supporting crossplay as long as you link your Hoyoverse and Microsoft accounts, meaning that you can share your progress and your in-game data between the two. You'll be able to log into Genshin on your iPhone, Android, your PC, and pick up right where you left off on your Xbox. If you want to jump into the world of Genshin Impact and check out all of the new stuff that they've added as part of this 5.2 event, just follow the link in the description below. Thanks again to Genshin Impact for sponsoring this video. Now, I know y'all have been hearing the talk, I've been hearing the talk. Xbox lost the console wars. How many news articles, how many headlines have you seen declaring that Xbox officially lost the console wars? Probably a lot at this point, but what if I told you Xbox is gearing up for the next console war, the likes of which we haven't seen in generations? Except this time, the battle will be over consoles that you can hold in your hands. After months and months of rumors, Xbox finally came out and they were like, yep, it's true, we're working on an Xbox handheld, but it's a few years out. But it's not just Xbox that's working on a gaming handheld. No, it's looking like their longtime rivals once again are gonna step into the ring and duke it out with Microsoft. According to a new report from Bloomberg, who's that? Bloomberg. Sony Group Corporation is in the early stages of developing a handheld console. The product is aimed at expanding Sony's reach and contending with Nintendo Corporation for the portable gaming market, according to people familiar with its development. They go on to say, like Xbox, Sony's handheld is likely years off from seeing the market, and it's so early that there's still the possibility that they can just cancel the project altogether. I don't know how eager Microsoft is to go head-to-head with Sony yet again over gaming hardware, considering how it's played out over the last 2 generations. But honestly, I believe that a portable Xbox and a portable PlayStation could coexist. Just like I own an Xbox Series X and a PlayStation 5, depending on how things work out, I can envision myself owning both handhelds. What I'm hoping that Microsoft does with their handheld is make it more versatile. Have a really awesome OS that deals with all of my Xbox digital library and also Game Pass, but also reach out to Valve and have it to where we can load in Steam so we can access that library too. Something that we know they're already doing for the ROG Ally. Whereas a PlayStation handheld, that would probably be just looking at Sony's track record with hardware a little bit more closed off. It would be specifically for PlayStation games and PlayStation games only. I'm honestly kind of shocked, but pleasantly surprised that Sony would go in this direction. I feel like they were betting on VR to really take off with the PSVR 2, but what actually ended up taking off for them was the PlayStation Portal, which I never would have guessed. The PlayStation Portal went from a remote play only device to getting cloud gaming. So the next logical step would be to have some sort of gaming handheld where you can play PlayStation games natively. Overall, this is super exciting to me because we have Nintendo obviously already making handhelds. We got Valve making handhelds, Asus, Lenovo, and now Microsoft and Sony are joining in on the game too. We're about to see Console Wars 2.0, the handheld gaming wars. And if Sony joins in on the fight, we're going to see a level of competition in the hardware space that we haven't seen since freaking Sega bowed out of the console race with Dreamcast. All of these companies are going to be vying for our hard-earned money. And historically, that leads to some pretty exciting stuff in the industry. At least that's how I hope Microsoft approaches it. But knowing the modern day Xbox, they would probably be just as happy saying, oh, well, they're playing Sea of Thieves over on the PlayStation handheld, so that's a win for us. Going into this fight, Microsoft has a couple of advantages and disadvantages. Let's start off with the advantages. Microsoft has the benefit of being able to sit back and observe what is currently working and not for the gaming handhelds that are out on the market right now. We know, thanks to Phil Spencer, that's exactly what the team that's working on the Xbox handheld is doing. They're watching, listening, taking notes in order to better inform them on how they can make the best handheld possible. I imagine Microsoft's experience with the Surface Pro could be super valuable in developing a portable gaming situation. There were rumors floating around that there was some crossover between the two teams already. I was interested to see if the Qualcomm Snapdragon X chips would be a factor at all, but looking at early returns, it's looking like Windows on ARM isn't exactly great for PC gaming at least. According to Game Developer, out of 1,300 games tested using Windows on ARM, over half of them are buggy or glitchy, and some big multiplayer titles like Apex Legends and Fortnite you straight up can't play because it's not compatible with anti-cheat software. Moving on to disadvantages, obviously Xbox has never had a handheld before. It's been a long time since the PS Vita, but at least Sony has tried it before. They've had some sort of presence in the past. But then again, the market back then, when they were still making the PSP, the PS Vita, it could not be more different than it is today, so I'm not sure if that experience would come in handy. I'm also really curious to see how Xbox would differentiate itself from the other handhelds. Obviously, it's not going to be the exclusive games, and there's already a Windows handheld that plays Xbox games with the ROG Ally. They're saying it's early enough that Sony might cancel the handheld and go in a different direction, and honestly, it's highly probable that Xbox might do the same thing. Why invest millions into development and distribution when they can just continue to support the Microsoft Store and Game Pass on other devices? Everything's an Xbox, right? Phones, iPads, Amazon Fire Sticks. On the other hand, Xbox, Microsoft, they seem content to just put out hardware. I mean, they had the Series X to the Series S, and while they didn't have a mid-gen refresh, they still put out 4 different SKUs of those same consoles. The Carbon Black Series S, the 2TB Series X, the Digital Series X, the 1TB freaking white Series S. Even after all the stuff that we've heard about, oh, people aren't buying Xbox consoles, hardware is on the decline for them, they don't seem to care about that. The important thing for Xbox right now seems to be, how can I convert these people to Xbox Game Pass? How can I get them to use the Xbox app? And I think an Xbox handheld still fits into that strategy. It could be valuable to them. All this talk about handhelds has me very excited for the future of the industry. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't appreciate what we have now. Xbox has caught a lot of flack over the past couple of years, with developers saying, oh, it's difficult to work with them. Oh, we don't want to make a Series S version of our game. We wish we didn't have to do it. But Xbox can hold their head high right now because they got a glowing endorsement from the game director of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Obviously, both Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth are nowhere to be found on Xbox consoles. But if it was up to the people that actually worked on the game, the higher-ups at Square Enix, chances are pretty high we'll probably be seeing the Remake trilogy on Xbox consoles sooner rather than later. The game director for Final Fantasy Rebirth recently did an interview with Games Radar where he says they want to create a situation, an environment where more players can play the games in the future, and they want to look in that direction. He even mentioned that he owns an Xbox console. He said that it's a great hardware platform. That must be super encouraging to hear if you're Xbox. They've put in a lot of work currying favor with Square and other Eastern publishers to make sure their games don't skip over the Xbox platform anymore. Even though people blast them, say that Xbox fans don't want to play Final Fantasy, they don't want to buy games. So often we hear developers and their teams complain about Xbox. At least that's what makes headlines. So it's refreshing to hear that someone like Mr. Hamaguchi has good things to say about them. Listen, I'm not a developer. I can't speak to whether or not Xbox is a good or bad platform to work for. But from a fan perspective, from a customer perspective, I think they're still doing a lot of cool stuff. And it would be awesome to see more developers have the enthusiasm Mr. Hamaguchi has when it comes to bringing their games to Xbox. This is obviously consistent with what we've been hearing from Square over the past few months. They brought over Final Fantasy XIV, they brought over some of the old school games, and I'm really hoping that we see Remake and Rebirth specifically on Xbox consoles. I can do without Final Fantasy XVI. I played it over on my PS5 and I was like, this is fine. But when it eventually comes over, I won't complain. More games on Xbox, that's a good thing. While we eagerly await the Final Fantasy Remake trilogy on Xbox, we do have to say goodbye to this Xbox One era feature. Microsoft is officially killing off the Xbox One era avatars and the avatar editor. On the FAQ, they say that due to low engagement and our shift in focus towards delivering other player experiences, it's discontinuing the editor as of January 9th, 2025. After that time, players won't be able to access their avatars or the items that they've bought for them. So if you bought clothes or accessories for your avatar, a little like hoverboard, jacket, hats, whatever, they're actually going to be doing a mass refund if you made any of those purchases after November 1st, 2023. The FAQ goes on to say that you can continue to update your gamer pick using the avatar editor until January 9th, 2025. After this date, any further changes to Xbox avatar-themed gamer picks will need to be made through the Xbox Original Avatars app. To do this, launch the Xbox Original Avatars app, press the menu button, and select Take a Photo. From there, you can adjust your avatar's animation and background. Once you have the gamer pick you like, press the View button and then select Save as a gamer pick. So Xbox One avatar is out, but you can still mess around with your 360 era one, which I think is kind of cool. Honestly, I don't think anyone's gonna miss the Xbox One avatars. I never personally messed around with it myself. I never really used the app, maybe once or twice. It just seems like one of those features that they were really excited about at the start of the Xbox One generation, only for them to fizzle out like a year or two later. Low engagement with that? Yeah, that makes sense. Like, if I'm not using it and I'm a daily Xbox user for freaking years, then I doubt many other people are. There's a lot of stuff that they tried in that Xbox One era that just didn't work out. Y'all remember Snap? I swore that shit was revolutionary. It was fire, man. You could tell your Xbox, hey, Xbox, Snap Netflix or Snap whatever, and it would literally multitask. Like, I could be playing The Witcher and watching Orange is the New Black on Netflix. Don't make fun of me, this was 2015. I agree, their money is better used elsewhere versus maintaining the servers or whatever they need for these avatars and this app. Maybe they can redirect that money back into their games, back into Game Pass. Speaking of Game Pass, I saw recently that Call of Duty posted on their Twitter saying that this past month, in the wake of Black Ops 6 launching, it's been the most successful launch for them that they've ever had. They say thank you to #1 total players, #1 hours played, #1 total matches. In the first 30 days from launch, together you made Black Ops 6 the biggest Call of Duty ever. We've talked about this a little bit on the channel before, but I would assume that a large part of that has to do with Game Pass. But even if that's the case over on the Xbox platform, last time I checked, it's still doing really well on Steam and PlayStation. I'm really happy for Treyarch. I'm really happy for Xbox, especially because I've been having a ton of fun with Black Ops 6. Can't believe I'm saying that because I've just never been a Call of Duty guy. I was playing last night though with my buddy, and he was telling me that there are a butt ton of cheaters in ranked, especially. Even going so far as to say that he's getting targeted ads where he can install mods for Call of Duty that would improve his accuracy and like lessen his recoil and stuff. They gotta fix that like immediately. Nothing is worse than running into a ton of cheaters in a competitive FPS. Looking like Sledgehammer Games, who is the team that made Modern Warfare 3 last year, they're actually getting a proper development cycle this time around. For Modern Warfare 3, they had a very short turnaround, which could explain a lot of things going on with the campaign. According to the Ghost of Hope on Twitter, he says, what I'm hearing about Sledgehammer Games with future Call of Duty. He says Sledgehammer Games are currently slated to lead their own Call of Duty in 2027. This comes after Infinity Ward's game in 2026, which is presumably Modern Warfare 3. COD 2027 is currently not a Year 2 Modern Warfare game like Modern Warfare 3, unclear as of yet if it's possibly Advanced Warfare 2 or something new. We'll update whenever that becomes clear. So we're potentially looking at 2025, maybe Black Ops 2, 2026, Modern Warfare 4, and then maybe an Advanced Warfare game in 2027. I'm really curious to see what they're gonna do with the movement in these upcoming Call of Duty games. I'm so used to omnidirectional movement now, I think it's a ton of fun, but I understand that it's a new thing in the series. I wonder if that's gonna carry over to whatever future Call of Duties come out. It's also a little bit weird, like I get it, okay? I get it. Once you become known for a certain thing, you keep doing that thing that made you successful. In Activision's case, it's Call of Duty. But when Microsoft took over, I was kind of hoping that these teams would get to work on other projects and games that were not Call of Duty. But like I said earlier, I'm not a big Call of Duty guy, so I guess I'm not going to speak on things that I don't know too much about. I'll shift to something I know a little bit more about, Stalker 2. I think Stalker 2 is a really cool game. I've thought that since I previewed it a couple of months back, but I was one of many reviewers that was very frustrated with all of the bugs and glitches during the review period. It got a big ass patch the day before it launched, and it's getting even more updates as its first week starts to wind down. They got quest progression fixes, crash fixes, gameplay and balance adjustments, and they're also fixing the dead zone issues for controller. The dead zone stuff specifically, if they fix that, I would literally turn off this camera and start playing right now. That was one of the most frustrating things in my experience. The aiming just sucked, and I thought I was going crazy because I'm like, wait a minute, I got stick drift, man. What is this? It sent me into a panic because I was playing on my Elite Series 2 at first, which historically is a controller that people have had drift issues with in the past, but then I started playing on another controller, it was the same thing. I'd also like to see some improvements in the stealth gameplay. In that first Stalker, it was a very big part of the game, and the game was very transparent. It was very good at letting you know how sneaky you were being. They had a noise monitor, you can lay down flat on your stomach. In this game, it's not so clear, and at some points, it's very important to be as sneaky as you possibly can. I'm still rooting for this game because, again, I think it has a lot of potential. The concept is awesome. The world, the zone is awesome. I love the team behind it, the developers. I'm hoping that people can either just enjoy the game, embrace its flaws, or have the patience to wait around while they continue to work on it and then jump back in. It doesn't seem like they're struggling right now. I saw that they hit 1 million copies sold, and I assume that a lot of people are playing it on Game Pass. It's in the top games played on Steam as well. So it seems like people are still enjoying Stalker 2. They're still playing the game while GSC Game World works hard to fix all these issues. Anyways, guys, that's all the Xbox stuff I have to talk about today. Thanks so much for joining me for another edition of Xbox Ready. If you made it this far into the video, consider subscribing. Help me on my journey to 200,000 subs. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.